Ladies, gentlemen, and legends of all ages, as you progress through this game, you will of course come across harder and harder foes, and one of the easiest ways to make those fights easier is to be a higher level. We've talked about some general XP farming methods for the game in the past, near when the game first released, and while those still work the way that they did, not only have they been updated in ways that make them better, but I've also since worked out a really solid Mega Shard based farm route and concept for that as well, which we can then exchange for just a ton of XP candies very quickly. But I also want to take a moment before we get into all of that to mention alpha Pokemon for the purposes of XP farming as well. Every wild zone in the game has at least one potential alpha Pokemon in its spawn pool. Some of them have multiple, and you can even find alpha Pokemon just around the city outside of wild zones as well if you get a little bit lucky. Alpha Pokemon themselves tend to be notably higher level than anything else that's around them, which in itself means that when we're talking about XP farming in general, they are quite a juicy way to get it. But on top of that, they seem to be worth more experience than the same species of Pokemon would be at that same level, even if it wasn't an alpha as well. So alphas are just solid sources of experience in general. On top of that, there are two ways that this gets better. The first is that alpha Pokemon also drop experience candy when you defeat them, with the size of the candy scaling up with the level of the alpha Pokemon. So on top of the raw combat experience that you get from them, you also get some free candies worth of experience for each one too, as well as, catching the alpha itself, which is a Pokemon with 3 perfect IVs to start off with. The other main thing that you can do is to catch it through the stun phase at the end of combat. Specifically, before you start combat, you probably want to open up your menu and save your game, then you can fight the alpha normally until you empty its health down to 0. At that point, it will have stars floating above its head, so save your game again. The singular highest catch chance on a Pokemon is the one attempt that you get to catch something that is stunned before it disappears, and the unique way that the system works is that you don't count as being in combat anymore if there's no other things attacking you, so you can save. By saving here, what we're doing is making it so even if the catch does fail at this high percent chance, we can just quit the game, load back in to be put right where you were when you saved, and then try again. And you can do that over and over until it works. What's important about this is the fact that the Pokemon gives you a pile of experience when you defeat them, but they also give you experience when you capture them, and for whatever reason, the defeat experience kicks in when you reach the stun, and you can still catch after that, which means you can get both the combat win and the catch XP from the same Pokemon, which for alphas especially is very nice. Though it is worth noting, after you fight and catch them, they will not respawn as alphas for around 5 minutes, so there is a cooldown on this. This can be especially effective when you finish the story because Wild Zone 20 specifically has massive potential for spawning in loads of alpha Pokemon, and so this strategy will work best at that point in the game. But that said, I would say this is all general useful information in different ways, and once you have Wild Zone 20, if you are strong enough to basically one-shot all the alphas in that zone, it will become the most efficient method in the game to generate XP until you trigger the cooldowns. Here's an example of an Alpha Salamence at level 62 in Wild Zone 18, and even with only one Pokemon alive at the end for the actual XP reward, meaning we are missing out on the XP for 5 Pokemon, it is still 3,000 experience for the remaining Pokemon, another 1,500 from the catch itself, and it also drops 1 XP candy small and 1 medium, which is an extra 3,800 XP. The only thing with that is, again, you can't really purposefully actively farm alphas consistently, but what you can do is kill some alphas in Wild Zone 20, then spend the next 5 minutes doing any one of our other XP farm methods, then go back to Wild Zone 20 and kill some more alphas, and just run that as a sort of cycle. That said, there are 2 more methods that are worth talking about today. The first is battling trainers during Z-A Royale, but with an updated method from the last time we spoke about this. Worth mentioning the red canari plush here as well. This increases experience from battles specifically. It doesn't affect candies, for example, but it does boost the XP for this method. The main discovery that made this work then is that you can just end combat with a trainer early by passing through the entry gate to the activity, and it counts as you running away. This means that if there is a decently XP rewarding Pokemon close to the entry gate of the battle zone, you can walk in, one-shot that Pokemon with a sneaky attack, walk out without finishing combat, and when you do this, it fully resets because you did not finish the combat completely, so you get the full XP reward from that first Pokemon, but when you leave and re-enter, that same Pokemon will respawn, and you can just do that again, and you can do this on loop as much as you want through the night. I recommend starting your night by wandering around to each gate and seeing which one has the best option for doing this with, and if there is nothing particularly good, you can just rest at a bench a couple of times to start a new night and see what the new spawns are in the different battle zone. That said, with this example I've got here, this is a level 38 Hippowdon, so a nice mid-game XP nugget Pokemon. Walk up, one-shot, and walk away through the gate before the animation for the trainer throwing out another Pokemon happens, and then you can just repeat this very effectively. The Hippowdon gives 838 experience to my main Pokemon, my lead Pokemon, and a total of 3,322 to my party as a whole, including the lead Pokemon. At this speed, we can do this approximately 5 times per minute, which makes it 4,200 XP per minute for the lead Pokemon, and a combined total of 16.6 thousand for the party as a unit, which is a really solid amount. This is by a good margin the best way to level up an entire party of Pokemon at the same time, and it scales even better and harder the more progress you have in the game, as higher rank enemies means higher level opponents in the Royale, which means better XP nuggets as you progress and make this happen. Next up then, let's talk about Mega Shards, and the last time that we talked about XP farming in the game, I mentioned that you can exchange Mega Shards for experience candies after you finish Story Mission 10, and you do this at Quasartico Inc. in the northwest side of the city. To begin with, these are XP candy small for 8 Mega Shards, but you actually can unlock higher rarities of experience candy as you progress further in the story, and I've seen people who have medium and large candies in the store here that they can trade for here. But the fun thing to note is that that actually does not matter. It doesn't help, it doesn't make it better. The experience candy small costs 8 Mega Shards and gives 800 experience. Experience candy medium, once unlocked, costs 30 Mega Shards each, and they give 3,000 experience. Experience candy large, once unlocked, costs 100 Mega Shards and gives 10,000 experience. In other words, the price scales perfectly with the experience that they give you. Buying small XP candy is the exact same value as buying large XP candy, which is to say 1 Mega Shard is always worth 100 experience. That is a constant exchange rate between all 3 versions of the candy, and that means there is no negative to doing this before you have the larger candies unlocked. As well, before we get too into this, I should mention the pink canari plush. This is sold at the construction building in the southeast in exchange for colorful screws, and there are 3 ranks of this that you can purchase, with each one increasing the amount of Mega Shards that you get when you break a crystal. The last rank especially is a really noticeable increase, so I highly recommend getting these and getting the screws to unlock them if you are actively farming Mega Shards for any real amount of time here. Before we get into the how then, let's get into the why you should care about this method and go over the numbers. With the full upgraded plush and the specific route I will be going over today, it is an average of 999 Mega Shards, which is the cap, the limit that you can hold at one time, every 9.5 minutes. With the candy exchange rate essentially meaning 1 Mega Shard is 100 experience, what this means is an average of around 10.5 thousand experience every minute. This is less than the total number that you can get from the battle farming method, but much more than you would get on just your lead Pokemon, which essentially means if you are trying to level up your entire team somewhat equally, you should do the battle method. But if you just want to boost up a singular Pokemon at a time, this is the best method to do that with for a very long time. Eventually, with high enough level opponents, the battle method would overtake it, probably around level 65 or 70 is my general estimation, but up until that point, it's essentially battle farming for group experience, Mega Shard farming for singular Pokemon XP. That said, the main thing here is the actual route that we use, but before we get into that, let's go over what you need to make it happen the way that I do. Step 1 is Rotoglide. This is a movement mechanic that unlocks in story mission number 16, and it's essentially a double jump that we can use to move from rooftop to rooftop much quicker and more efficiently than you could without it, which is great because most Mega Crystal clumps are in elevated positions on the map. As well, you would ideally have 2 specific Pokemon archetypes to make this easier. The first archetype is a fast Pokemon with a bunch of fast attacks. In this footage, I've got the Absol that you get given as part of the story, and I've got him loaded up with Quick Attack, which is the best option of a singular ability because it's super fast animation and low cooldown time, as well as teleporting to the target because it's a priority move. Then he also has Slash and Night Slash for 2 generically quick moves too. An even better option would be something like a Lucario, which can use Quick Attack as well as Extreme Speed, Aerial Ace, and Bullet Punch, which is just a really solid grouping of fast attacks on an already fast Pokemon. The second thing that you need is a Pokemon with a big AoE attack. The best for this, in my opinion, is Surf, which you can get as a TM at Research level 29, or if you catch a Slowpoke specifically, which you can find in Wild Zone 10 on your map, they learn Surf naturally at level 36 as well, which is a slightly easier way to do that. Your fast attacker then will be what you use like 95% of the time for just spread out crystals around the place, and Surf is for big, dense groupings that are spread out a little bit, enough that they wouldn't get hit by the same singular quick attack, but it can travel a massive distance and take out a whole roof worth of stones if you line it up the right way. Then just one little bit of extra information as well, which is that Mega Crystals respawn on a set timer, and there is no way to shorten or manipulate manipulate that to any way that we're aware of right now, which means that to farm them efficiently, you need a route that lasts the entire timer doing efficient stuff the whole time. For the little mega crystals, it is 10 minutes to respawn, but the larger ones seem to have a longer respawn timer, sometime between 15 and 20 minutes. So what we will do is have one 10-minute route, and every second run of the route will just be slightly less efficient than the others. That said, doing this route, it takes me around 8 minutes to hit 999 mega shards on the first loop, 11 more minutes to hit 999 again, as we continue the loop and then reset it as well. At which points, all of the larger crystals will have then respawned as well for the third loop, so it just resets completely. This is how we get our average then of around 9.5 minutes for 999 shards. It's the average between the run that has all the large crystals around and the one that doesn't. All of that covered, then let's go over the actual route that we're going to be taking here. I'll explain it vaguely, and then at the end of the video I will let the full thing play out at like double speed if you want to see it in the full detail, and you can then slow it down if you need to too. The actual route then starts here on the rooftops north of Wild Zone 9. You can fast travel to the food truck cafe that's just over to the side over here, and then from here you want to run over to the battle court over here on the north side, and right in this section there will be a little bit of scaffolding that you can parkour up to the rooftops from. From here there are just loads of just mega crystals all across these rooftops that connect together, so I do this whole sort of little block here, then we hop across to the building on the east here where there's a nice really dense pack of crystals right here. We hop from here using the rotoglide down to this building here, which we can then use to walk over and up a ladder to get to this building here, and this one has a ton of mega crystals on it, so break them all. Then once you've done that, you can drop down into the street in front of the alleyway for the entrance to Wild Zone 9. Inside of Wild Zone 9, you want to walk down this alleyway, take a left turn, and there will be a ladder on the building immediately beside you. Go up the ladder, you'll be on the rooftops, and there will be immediately a big pile of mega crystals. From here, you can just hop around to the other roofs in Wild Zone 9, collecting all of the mega crystals that are on top of them, and there are quite a few densely packed areas inside of here. Once you have mopped up everything that's in this Wild Zone, then we're going to go over to this cafe on the middle southern heading road, Cafe Class A, and then from here immediately south we've got this elevator, which is what the symbol represents. Go up to the roof, and then inside of this area, the little greenery inside here, there are 3 very large mega crystal clumps that you can break open for a lot of value. From that point, what you're going to do is fast travel to Wild Zone 3. The main reason is that we want to go up to the top of this shopping area right here, because this roof has a ton of mega crystals all over it. So we go to Wild Zone 3, we go east through this little road here to find some scaffolding that brings you up to the roof. You climb up to the roof, walk around the roof, drop into the little middle area as well, and clean up all the mega crystals for a ton of value. From that point, you can walk off of the western side of the roof over here, cross this little street, and go to this elevator west of Wild Zone 3 onto this rooftop. These rooftops have a bunch of mega crystals littered throughout them as well, and then from this corner specifically, you can do a pretty cool parkour maneuver, which is you roll off of the roof with sprint momentum, then use the rotoglide to carry you even further, and you can just barely make the jump over to this roof across the way, which then has a bunch of mega crystals. Follow that to the end for a large load of them. And at that point, if you have run the route efficiently, you should be right around 10 minutes. It may be up to like 11 minutes if we include the time spent teleporting to Quasartico to buy the candies too, which is enough time that you can reset the loop and start from the beginning all over again. That just about does it for today then, everyone. Your new and improved XP farming methods in Pokémon Legends Z-A. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and hopefully it helps you bring your fun little friends into their most powerful form a little bit quicker. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, here is the route fully as promised. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.